Welcome to the Jamesburg Presbyterian Church. Today is Wednesday, October the 13th, 2021. Today marks the 80th, that's 80, installment of these devotionals. They've all been magical. Today, and I'm rethinking what I'm doing now in terms of devotionals, and I may go in a different direction after this, or I may continue. I haven't decided yet. If any of you have any opinions about what you would like to see, you can let me know by texting me or getting in touch with me in some sort of way. Patter. Patter is the story that we tell with magic. There are some pieces that I do without saying a word, like the newspaper tear. I just don't think that it is necessary to say anything with that piece. It's so visual. And when I do what I call the invisible deck, that also is a piece that is so visual. But there are other pieces that, by way of explanation or as the piece is performed, it's best to be telling a story, even if the story is not true, because it helps to explain or call attention to what's coming next. So when I do a piece, it's called The Professor's Nightmare. It's actually the three rope trick. I usually use, not always, but usually use a patter that is plausible but not true. And that is, just recently I was working in the stockroom in Macy's, and my manager told me to get 3 pieces of rope the same size. So I got 1 piece of rope this size, 1 piece of rope this size, and 1 piece of rope this size. I came back and said to the manager, here you are, boss, 3 pieces of rope the same size. He said, those aren't the same size. You can't do something simple. I don't need you. You're fired. I said, wait a minute. I know something about rope, and so I'm going to bring all the ends of the rope up together like this, and you'll see that something fantastic happens with the ropes. You see, all of the ropes now are the same size. You can see that they're all the same length. He said, what about that part? I said, just don't look at that part. All of the ropes are the same length. He says, I'm not buying this. He says, because I can see that. I said, just don't look at that part. I said, all the ropes. I say, look, here, I'll show you. All the ropes are indeed the same size. There you go. I've got 1 rope this length. I've got 2 ropes that length. I've got 3 ropes that length, 3 ropes the same size. He said, all right, I guess you can keep your job. I said, what about my salary increase? He said, salary increase? You're lucky you're getting to keep your job. I said, no salary increase? I'll tell you what, you can take your 1 rope that length. You can take your 1 rope that length. You can take your rope that length. I quit. All right. Usually in a performance, I do it just a bit slower. But that's pretty much the gist of what I do. The famous 3 rope trick. Classic piece. And I use that particular pattern. It's plausible, having never worked for Macy's. So while it becomes an interesting story, it's not a true story at all. But in magic, I can tell a story like that that's not true. And people will be entertained by it, and that's the whole purpose. People will laugh at the fact that I was fired from the stockroom at Macy's, even though they know, as I'm telling the story, that it's not true. We all tell stories. What's the patter of our lives? What's that story sound like? Are we telling the truth about who we are? Are we living and showing by example who we are? Are we consistent in how we behave and in what we say? We can say a lot of things in life. We can say that we are Jesus followers. We can say we are Christians, and then live a very ugly kind of life, a life that's mean-spirited, a life that's self-centered, a life that does no sacrificial, unconditional loving, a life that never gives the benefit of the doubt to the other person. Or we can live a life that exaggerates our accomplishments. Sometimes people do that. We just read a couple stories recently online about people who wore military uniforms when they were never in the military. It's called stolen valor. But they're trying to tell the world around them that they are important, that they have rank that they don't have in life. Some people do that. Some people downplay their life story. They don't brag about themselves. They simply live in humility. And that is a very good story to live. The story in which we are showing ourselves to be humble, that we're not all caught up with our degrees and accomplishments. We're not always looking for the pat on the back, that just doing what we do and living how we live is good enough. The best story, of course, I think, is the story in which we are demonstrating our belonging to Jesus Christ, where we're showing that kind of love, that unconditional love to those around us. That's the best story, I think. And so the question for today, the question that I ask each of you is, what story are you living? What is your story? Are you telling it? Is it consistent with how you live your life, the story that you're telling? And how might you improve your story so that when people see your life, they can match with consistency the way you live to what you say? Think about that. That's always an important thing for us to answer. Well, I will see you on Sunday. We'll be doing the usual church service. I'll be looking forward to that. I will see you next Tuesday for a Bible study. I hope you're tuning in for those. We're going to pick up in chapter 12 of the Gospel according to John. This past Tuesday, yesterday, we got to the center of the book, which is the turning point where the people, the leadership decides that Jesus has to go. And then next Wednesday, there'll be something that we'll do here. Not really sure just yet what, but we'll come up with something. Take care. Stay safe. Thank you for tuning in today. I really appreciate your doing that. Bye now.